Virtual public meeting tonight lets community members in Rockton learn more about a multi-year project that hopes to make traveling between the village's downtown and southern areas a little more accessible. Hosted by the Illinois Department of Transportation, the Route 75 Bridge Project looks to replace the bridge that goes over the Rock River entirely. During the meeting, a project overview was presented highlighting improvements the work will bring. The meeting ended with a Q&A session. One question that was brought up was how detours around the construction site would be handled.
The intent is always to try and minimize impacts to the adjacent properties, minimize impacts to adjacent environmental features. Parks are a big item of trying to minimize impacts, but so are just people's properties, people's yards and what have you.